Hi everyone, welcome into this week's my weekly CBS fix. In this week's parsha, we have another amazing lesson. The Torah says, "Ukshartem la'os al yadchem v'hayu lo tatufes beineinechem v'limatem osam es b'nechem l'darebam v'uchsaftem al mezuzos b'sechel v'yisharecha." I'm sure you know what that means, but in case you don't, it means that you should tie them as a sign on your arm. You should teach the Torah to your children, and you should write it on your doorposts of your house and on your gates. So the question is that this verse comes right after Hashem's warning of possible impending exile. And nothing is put in a specific sequence for nothing. They were juxtaposed for a reason. And Rashi tells us immediately why these three mitzvos were given right after the threat of exile. So Rashi says to us that they were given to us as tziyunim, as signs, as street signs or as markers, that in order to be able to keep us on the road of Judaism, because in exile it's very possible that people would fall away from Torah, so keep these three things as signs for you in order to remind you that you are Jewish, keep Torah, tefillin, and mezuzah. So the question really is then, what is then the special connection between these three mitzvos and the land of Israel? Meaning, it seems that really these mitzvos are performed in an optimal way in Israel, but in exile they're only like secondary. They're only there as doorposts. They're only there as reminders for you. They're only there as tziyunim, these road markers, to remind you which way you have to go. So the question is, why is that? What is the secret behind it? As the Medrash says, there is a secret behind this teaching. So Rav Shimon Schwab of blessed memory, explained as follows. He says that all these mitzvos, they're certainly as applicable in exile as they are in Israel. So what's the difference? I think he says the difference is like this. He explains these three mitzvos are not performed in the ideal way. Torah cannot be performed in the same way when once upon a time we were able to perform it when we had the temple. Torah used to be taught, Torah Shabbat Peh, it was the oral law, went from Rebbe to student, from Rebbe to student. It was all give and take between your Rebbe, your teacher, and the student. There was that give and take. Today we have to learn it all from books, and we don't have that same connection to a teacher like we used to have to, which was the main way to learn Torah. Also, Torah many times throughout the Gullus was not allowed to be taught at all. At times it was only allowed to be learned privately, but it could not be taught in public. And when it came to the mezuzah also, the mezuzah we only really keep in our homes. We don't put it on the city gates like we are actually obligated to do. For example, the Yafa gate in Jerusalem is obligated to have a mezuzah over there. But these laws are not enforced while we are in exile. By the way, exile means both in the land of Israel and in the land of outside, any lands outside of Israel. And so it's not enforced the same. And the same thing also when it comes to the tefillin. Tefillin used to be worn all day, whether a person was at work, whether he was in synagogue. And today, we do it at Shacharis. We do it at the morning prayer. Why? As a reminder, don't forget that we're Jewish. And the idea is that exile, when living amongst the Gentiles of the world who have different customs, different language, it's very easy to get swept up and assimilate. And therefore the Torah gave us these three things to remind us that we are Jewish people. We have to remind ourselves who we are and what our goal is. And ultimately, though, when Mashiach comes and we're able to do these three mitzvahs in the land of Israel again, not in exile anymore, in the land of Israel, I don't mean necessarily the physical land, but I mean when Mashiach actually comes, the performance of these three mitzvahs will be done in the optimal way, and not just as reminders for us, but rather they will be an integral part of every other mitzvah. But meanwhile, they're for us markers as we are in the exile period. Have a wonderful Shabbos. Thank you for listening.